Hello. So my name's Maddie, and like the title suggests, this isn't really gonna be about gameplay or the lore of FNAF, but I've fallen into the rabbit hole of this series a few times, and Springtrap. I think he has a really unique look and a creepiness factor that none of the other animatronics really capture. Not even the Phantom animatronics in the same game really feel the same as him, though that may be because they, in my opinion, they kind of just look like color inversions of the characters they're supposed to be, but I don't know if not liking the Phantom animatronic designs is a hot take or not. So Springtrap though. Springtrap is a bit more complicated than the other animatronics we've seen up to this point, and he's a bit less detailed though than what the series would later have with like the Nightmare animatronics or like the sister location animatronics. But the sister location ones aren't bad though. I'd say they're kind of in their own camp of the vibe that Scott was trying to go for, because it's more of a sleek sci-fi horror looking design. Comparing Springtrap to the withered animatronics from FNAF 2 to like the Nightmare ones from 4, I think it kind of strikes like a nice middle ground between being fairly simple in shape with having enough variation or extra details to make it a really striking silhouette or just design in general. And on top of that, I think Scott, in my opinion, did something really brilliant with this design, because if we look at the original trilogy, Springtrap is kind of like a culmination about what we know about the animatronics. Like, this whole time we've been fending off suits that are stated to have bodies in them, but we've never really seen it aside from like the game over death screen in FNAF 1, or like those spooky random images in the FNAF 1 where it's like the human eyes and the Freddy head. Aside from that, the closest we really get to also seeing it is reading about it with the newspaper articles, with people saying they've seen blood and mucus coming out of them. And a little side note, I really like the description of mucus coming out of it. I think that's really good horror writing. Like, it's really unsettling because it's like, ew! Ew, that's so gross. Why is it leaking mucus? That's disgusting. That's so scary. But back on topic, so I think that Springtrap is a really good visualization of the threat to the player about being stuffed into a suit. And I know, like, technically, like, he didn't die from being stuffed into the spring suit, but he's still like a visible body, like a visible rotting body in a suit. He's a walking threat of what you're gonna look like as a player if you lose. And I just think that's spooky. I think that's fun. I think the design also works really well considering how grainy the cameras are, where you can't fully see all the details. Even whenever you do, like whenever you look at a picture of Springtrap, there's moments where you're like, is that exposed human tissue? Is that rust? We just don't know. What parts of him is a corpse? What part of him is just a broken robot? It's really creepy, and I think the design being that vague in some areas works in its favor a lot. I think another really cool thing is his sunken in white eyes, compared to like if you went through like a lineup of the characters where, of course there's like other characters who have like the little pinpricks of white, especially in some of the camera views, but I just feel like, I don't know, I think something about like Springtraps are really striking and unsettling compared to like other designs that do it. I also think Springtrap's color palette is really well done, where the sickly yellows and greens in it, we don't really have another animatronic that feels like that, and it really drives home the idea that the suit itself is rotting with Afton inside of it. There's also the fact that it makes him blend into the background of Fazbear Frights, and I can say that's like a mixed thing. If you like that, it makes him a bit harder to find, but I would say for his design, it kind of also tells us he's using it to his advantage and like blending in maybe. It's a good way of establishing that like he's kind of smarter than previous threats that you face in the series. But yeah, I like Springtrap. I think he's neat. I think he's spooky. I think he's a unique type of spoopy that we haven't seen in the rest of the series. If people really like this video, maybe I'll ramble about designs I like again. Maybe I'll ramble about designs I don't like. Ooh, flushed emoji. Also, if there are any FNAF YouTube channels that aren't Let's Players yelling or people being overly enthusiastic while like screaming loudly about the series, please share them. I am starving for content. I really like animatronics, go motion. If there's anyone else out there that does something akin to those types of channels, please suggest them to me. Please, I'm so hungry for content. I'm so hungry.